Hello everyone, this is Kai. So I want to show you the latest version of Seestar that I've just finished updating that will support Seestar's new firmware that has native equatorial mode. Because the firmware has changed quite drastically, the older version of Seestar will not work nicely with it. So moving forward, the Seestar version 3.0, where this is running now, will be the version that you would need to run the new firmware. If you want to use the older firmware, I suggest you stay with the Seestar 2.5 or lower. But moving forward, quite a bit of my code has been changed and actually simplified to delegate a lot of the polar alignment and the going below horizon to the Seestar firmware. All right, so let me show you how this works. First, when you launch Seestar and SSC, you go to the startup. Now, one thing I want to give a nice piece of information is that I know some of you has mentioned the new firmware is hard-coded so that it will only do polar alignment at the zenith of your sky. It does that by telling you to set up the LED of the Seestar pointing up before you turn it on. And then what it does is that it will rotate 270 degrees so that it will go to the zenith of your sky. And then it will go to 3-point polar alignment, probably plus or minus 15 degrees of that zenith. Now, so if let's say you live in a balcony, let's say you have a balcony that has something on top of you, then you're out of luck. So here's a trick, workaround, is that instead of pointing the LED directly straight up, you want to point to LED where the sky is clear. So you have a clear patch of sky that it's not obstructed. And then it's going to make sure when it sweep in the RA axis, that plus or minus 50 degrees, that area is clear. So that's a workaround. So you don't need to have LED straight up. You point the LED where your sky is clear. And keep in mind that Seestar, the firmware, will rotate 270 degrees when it starts doing the polar alignment. So, all right, so that's a tip. All right, so what I've done now is that I've moved my LED so that it's pointing that direction, that's clear. It's not pointing straight up, but it's pointing where I think the sky is clearest. So to start, you just like before in startup, you press start. Now, one thing you will notice is that these two Scope-aim, latitude and longitude, will be gone, and this raise arm will not do anything now. So it's going to be removed in a future version of SSC, because we're going to delegate to the firmware to move it the way it expected to. The other thing I want to highlight is that you still have the option to do autofocus and dark frame, but because we're going to do polar alignment first, so that the lens is actually pointing to a right position, so you can do autofocus later and dark frame. Now, if your Seestar is not autofocus in the beginning, you probably want to do it manually. Move it up and autofocus before you do any of these things. All right. I think in the future I'll revisit this. Maybe I'll add back the logics to autofocus first before we do all the other stuff. Okay, but for now, pole alignment first, then the other two. So let's start. All right, so it's starting. So you notice that scheduler is starting. One thing I want to highlight to you later on too is that I actually did this right before I recorded this. So I actually record the old pole alignment. So it's ignore this because it's actually it's doing sweeping through the 3-point pole alignment. These is going to be reflecting of the error later on when it's actually finished. So you see that, okay? So I'm taking a look at my mount now. It's doing that 3-point pole alignment, sweeping through. Okay, so I think so. There it is. So as you can see, after it's finished the pole alignment, the error is actually reported in here. So this is what I have done before. So that's why it's not too bad. All right. So it's doing autofocus and doing the dark frame because I requested to. There it is. So this should be doing the dark libraries next. After this dark library is finished, I'm going to show you how we do PA Refinement. Just like before, we have the GUI still works just like that. And once it's finished, I'll show you how this works. And it's actually very responsive now. It's almost instantaneous. We have feedback on how you're doing with the adjustment with the wedge. There we go, almost done. There it is. There it goes. There we go. So the errors, it's around the PA alignment error is here. So actually, let's improve it a little bit. So by doing that, so it's automatically it was reflected. So because it's actually pretty good, I'm still going to change the scale so you can help me get it even better. Now, because it's such a pretty decent error already, so any slight adjustment is going to move quite a bit. So you're going to see it kind of run all over the place. But let's try that. Okay. So let me show you how responsive this is. I'm going to walk up to my wedge and just do a little slight adjustment. So most of you should already know, you simply adjust the knobs on your wedge. So you see. In the right direction. Not too much, but there it goes. It's just very slight because I'm moving a very fine scale right now. There you go. All right, so you can see the red dot actually moved pretty responsively. So I'll stop it at that. Realistically, we don't need to be too accurate into 0 to 0, 0. So, but it's anything within 0.5 degrees. Oh, that actually is pretty darn good. So, all right, so that's it. So I'm gonna stop. Now, actually, with this case, you do not need to rerun your pole alignment because it's all taken care of. So we're going to remove this as well. So keep in mind, you do not need to rerun your pole alignment after you do that, after the refinement. So you're all good to go. So that's it. So now it's pole aligned. It's just now you can use this up the way you used to before. So it's hope you get an idea of what's it's in terms of user interface. It doesn't change too much, but it's much more responsive, and actually performance is quite well. All right, that's all I have. Enjoy.